This is a brunch pre-Oscars mini podcast that contains spoilers. We can't imagine you care if you haven't seen the movie and you're afraid of spoilers. There's no way you would logically seek out a podcast about the movie. Let us begin. Marriage Story. Marriage Story is a film by Noah Baumbach.
Mm-hmm.
I never know whether to say Boumbach or Baumbach. I think I've said it correctly. I know
well,
this
now
guy.
you said it both ways, so you're
Covered my
correct one
bases.
way or the other.
Covered my bases. It's about a dissolving marriage between two people, and what are they? They're supposed to be in their early 30s?
I would say probably like 30, 31, 32.
Early mid-30s. They're getting divorced. They're doing it the old-fashioned way. I don't know what that means. They're doing it without lawyers. Then one of them gets a lawyer involved. There's some cross-country stuff going on. You really go back and forth between who do I feel worse for, but generally you're feeling bad for everybody the entire time because this is a movie that just makes you feel very, very sad and awful the whole time. It's the best.
It is. This movie is fantastic. I don't want to say that it's a delight because it's a very difficult watch, but you kind of fall in love with this family. And like from all angles, and I think that's the most important part of this story is that it doesn't make anybody out to necessarily be the villain or the bad guy in the situation. And that sort of makes it all the more heartbreaking too, because it's very relatable in the sense that you could see this being your family and also see them being like ripped apart very, very slowly and painfully. And like as the child of divorce, it hit a little close to home, but like my parents' story was very different. But at the same time, like I do think that there is the dynamic where you have two parents that don't necessarily hate each other, but they're like, we're going to try to do this amicably, and it just doesn't work like that. It never works like that when lawyers are involved.
Each side has their idea of what an amicable divorce is.
That's right. Yeah.
And then once those aren't in agreement with each other, then that's when lawyers get involved. It just shows you how ugly divorce is. It shows you how ruthless lawyers are. Some of the great scenes in this movie come from Adam Driver's reactions to any and all things lawyers. Little comments about, doesn't matter where I put the money, she's not going to get any of it because I'm spending it all to divorce her. A lot of good shit like that.
And his like naivete or whatever you want to say, like is very present in this movie. And it's frustrating from the viewer's perspective because you're just like, dude, how are you not realizing that it's just not going to work out the way that you wanted to? And you're being an idiot here.
Right. And
it takes him far too long to realize that.
He's told from the beginning when he meets with the first lawyer who ends up being his final lawyer that, look, the odds are stacked against you here. This is, like you just said, this is not going to go, though. You're not going to all end up back in New York. They're fighting over, is the kid going to be in California or New York? She wants to be there. I'm assuming you guys have all seen this. This movie is pretty close to perfect. This is in the 10 out of 10 range for me. It's one scene short of perfect. And that scene is the scene that people love the most, which is the fight scene after the courtroom scene. Now, the courtroom scene was amazing. Best scene in the movie.
The entire final act is amazing.
Right. And then after that comes the fight scene, which has a great line from Adam Driver when she says circumstances have changed, and he says, I was anticipating these circumstances. And then they get in this big blowout, and I've seen it a few times now, and in the first time I saw it, I was like, that's really good because these are two good actors, and they did a great job here. Scarlett Johansson, great in this movie, not amazing in that scene. And then when he punches the wall, that's also rough. So there are a couple of moments in what's otherwise an amazing scene and otherwise a perfect movie that's tough. When he says, fuck off, and then she says, no, you fuck off. And the way she like throws her body into it is so, we don't know anything about movies, we don't know anything about acting. It looks a little much, a little overacted. And then when she does I can't believe I have to know you forever, and she cries to the gods, that's a little rough.
I do remember that part. I don't remember her throwing her body.
No, you fuck. It's like a.
I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt there, having not rewatched it, just because like when you're in a fight like that, there are definitely times when I've done
not
some
always a
weird
Kodak moment.
Yeah, I've done some like weird shit, and then like thought to myself a split second later, like, why did I just do that with my body? So like I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll have to rewatch it, but for me, the entire last act of that movie was tremendous.
Yeah, that's why I think Baumbach got screwed here, because the beginning of this movie and the end of this movie were impeccable. I loved how it opened. I love the very end when he sees her and they're being the Beatles for Halloween or whatever. That was kind of lame, but also I think it was important to show like, well, like this is how life ends up being after the divorce.
You like that that clean sort of short, concise ending. You wish that the Irishman had that. I felt like that's what this kind of was for this movie. It just told you what the story is now and what it has become in one scene. And maybe it wasn't like the best over the top or like most well delivered scene, but it does its job in telling you. No, it was
like an unglamorous. Now just here's an example of a time when he'd be visiting
it's
them
a
after.
Come down. It's a come down from like the high stakes that like every scene was in the last third of that movie, but it's a necessary come down.
Yeah, and I like movies that do that. Obviously, the Graduate probably does it the most famously, but that's how like this movie can fuck with you. That it's so intense the whole time, and it's coming off this scene that should leave most people crying, where the kid is reading the letter that she wouldn't read, and she's out of focus and then in focus crying, and if you're watching it, you're just blubbering. And then it just goes to what must have been intentionally now here's just a day in the future. And you're like, fuck, there's a solution and it ended and everything.
But it's not really a solution.
Life's not great now, you know?
Yeah, and I do think that a lot of this movie and like the effectiveness of this movie is that it keeps you rooting for them the entire time, despite the fact that you know that it's not going to work out.
Right. And they're both being pretty rough to each other.
Right. And you just you want a solution, but you want a happy ending, but you know you're not going to get it. And I think that that's basically sort of what the experience of divorce is like. You love these people and you hope that it's going to work out, but you know it's probably not for the best. But even though the solution comes, you're still not really happy with it because it still sucks.
This features some other nominations. We'll get to Laura Dern.
Real quick, though, I want to ask you. You said that you think that it's close to a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Well, this is something that we've discussed on other movies already, but like, what's
better than Rocket Man?
No. What's the difficulty rating of this movie? How hard is it to make?
High.
It's pretty high.
I would say that this was pretty tough movie to make.
Movies about divorce have been made all over the place. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they often happen.
Shout out The Breakup.
Yes, it's not a divorce.
Correct.
It's a breakup.
Correct.
As defined in the title. But
well, maybe Scorsese made the movie. So who knows?
That's true. It could be a bamboozling.
The beginning. I believe there's a title card that says The Divorce. And then he got nominated for Best Director. Stupid idiot.
Yeah, I think that a lot of movies have been made about divorce.
Fucking Marty.
Not many of them are as honest and as authentic as this one is. And to be able to tell that story and do it as well as Noah Baumbach did is really, really impressive.
Yeah, I'm going through I can't find it and I feel so bad. I'm going through the IMDb page right now to I guess we'll get to her when we can, but
the at-home visitor.
Yes, I was going to set her up as the other big nomination for this. So this had a Driver for Best Actor, ScarJo for Best Actress, and I'm definitely cool with both those. Again, like the only time that I felt either of them were like, I'd like to see maybe take another scene of that was The Punch and the No You Fuck Off. I can't believe I have to know you forever. So they're both up for Best Actor and Actress.
I'm pretty resigned to the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is going to win for Joker, and it's a bummer because I think that Driver deserves it. Deserves it for this role. But I guess my solace there is that everybody's recognizing that Adam Driver was fucking amazing in this movie. And that's really all that I want. I mean, I think that he deserves it, but ultimately I do think that he'll probably get another shot at it because he's such a good actor. So even if Joaquin Phoenix wins, I won't be all that upset.
Yo, where the hell is this person who visited the house? We got Cassie on here. I know Cassie. That's the girl from New Girl. But where is we got Bert's associate? Everybody. We got Arguing Man listed on here. Who are any of these people? Oh, Nancy Katz.
Okay.
Right? Her name's Nancy. Is that it?
Sure, that sounds right.
Oh, here we are.
I would have guessed
Martha
Patricia.
Kelly the third.
Okay.
Hell of an actress. She's also in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Interesting.
Didn't know that. But she's the best thing that wasn't nominated this Oscar season. Apologies to Uncut Gems. The evaluator, mediator is the wrong term. Awkwafina was really good. She got host. But that's an incredible scene, and it adds to, as you said, the whole second act of the movie's great. But Laura Dern will win Best Supporting Actress for this. It's going to be between her and Florence Pugh. I would lean Pugh, but I think people are going to be like, yo, it's Laura Dern.
Laura Dern was like, I think Laura Dern did, like, pound for pound, probably better in this movie than Florence Pugh in Little Women.
Didn't have nearly as big a role.
Exactly. That's what I mean by that. And she just crushed every single second of screen time in this movie.
On the rewatch, her first scene with ScarJo is unbelievable. She's sitting there with her, and she's telling her all the things. Yes, she's telling her all the things that she wants to hear, and
I hated that
she's being
scene.
so
I hated
comforting,
that scene.
but there's a shot of her. She's sitting next to. She kicks off her heels and like gets on the couch with ScarJo.
She's like being the girl. It's like
hey,
we're having girl to girl,
right? And she's talking to her, and her eyes are darting all over the place.
She's like, let's have a real down to earth girl to girl, and you can just tell.
Best acting I've
you
ever
can just
seen.
tell that like she's ready to slit some throats.
She's but she's so phony and so.
That's what
fake.
I'm saying. Like she's like, let's have this very emotional, like I'm here, I'm your friend.
Right.
But like in the back of her
Let me get
head,
in there.
she's in business mode, and she's like, I'm
Totally.
going to cut this guy's throat and bleed him dry for you. And it's
Totally.
like that is exactly what both of those lawyers are.
Right.
And they do it in very different ways because
Definitely.
Ray Liotta's character is very upfront. He's like, here's what I am. I'm not going to I have no shame in this.
You want to roll up your sleeves or not?
Yeah.
And
it's like we're going to go fucking kill some people.
Right.
And Laura Dern's character takes a very different approach where she's like, I'm going to be your
I'm here
friend.
for you.
Yeah.
But if you rewatch that scene, her eyes as she's talking to her and saying all these really nice things are just wandering. She looks like a bad actress. It looks like if you didn't know this is a good actress, you'd think, wow,
It's like, why isn't she
is a bad
focused on
actress.
this scene?
But no, her character is a bad actress who ends up winning a lot because her clients are people in need and they more want to hear the right thing than necessarily seek the right thing. So I can't say enough nice things about Laura Dern in this movie. She's incredible. The other thing that really needs to win in this movie, Best Original Score, Randy Newman. The music in this movie is amazing. I just listen to the soundtrack sometimes. And whenever people say, oh, Rocket Man's soundtrack was so good, no one has ever gone back and listened to the Rocket Man soundtrack.
No, you know whose music was really good? Elton John.
Right.
That's like when people said that for Bohemian Rhapsody, or like when Bohemian Rhapsody won Best Sound Editing. It's like, you're not giving it to Bohemian Rhapsody, you're giving it to Queen.
Right. Yeah. Is Reinhold Mack still alive? Can we hook up the young man? Hold on, everybody. We're getting some questions actually here on the text machine on the buzz. Is Reinhold Mack still alive? He, is a German record producer and sound engineer, mostly known for his collaborations with rock bands Electric Light Orchestra and Queen. So
there will be no return of the Mac because he's never left.
Is Reinhold Mack having a moment? Marriage Story.